How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be working on my Scion TC. It is right here behind me, and we're going to be doing a coolant change on the car. Not going to do a full flush. I don't think I really need to, just because the car's only got 4,000 miles. I know it's an old car, but judging by the color of the coolant and everything looks great. Some maintenance has been done prior, but I just want to do it so everything's fresh. But yeah, real quick and easy. And before we get into that, if you do me a huge favor, go ahead and hit like and subscribe to the channel, and also follow our socials on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Links in the description below. Now, to give you a little bit of overview, it's pretty easy to do. All you need really is enough coolant per the recommended spec. I forget how much it is. I will leave it in the description. And you just need a drain bucket and a siphon to fill up to the radiator cap. Now, to be honest with you, my TC is a little bit different than most of yours out there. As you can see here, it does have a turbo kit, and I will be skipping a few steps in how to get underneath the car and all that. So to start off with, obviously I have the car on jack stands. You do want to do the shake test, making sure everything's level on the jack stands, and you do a shake test to make sure the car's not going to drop off the jack stands, making sure you are working as safe as you possibly can. This does require you getting underneath the car a bit, so always please exercise safety as best you can. And the other part is underneath the car, most stock TCs have a lot of plastic underpaneling. On my car, there is none of that because of the wide body kit. Now, to get the underpaneling off, from what I remember, it's been well over a decade, it's just a bunch of little 10mm bolts. So just take those off. You should be able to move everything out of the way so that you can drain the coolant. So let me go ahead and underneath the car and show you what's going on down there. And also, before we get started, to please make sure the car is cold and not hot. Hot radiator. A hot radiator means hot coolant, meaning you can severely injure yourself. As I'm laying down here underneath the driver's side of the car, I want to show you where the plug is. It's right here. It's called a petcock. You can use a pair of pliers to twist and turn it off to open it. Again, this is underneath the driver's side of the car where the radiator is. And let me get up and kind of show you the process. So all you're really going to need is some containers to drain the coolant into, and pliers, and some coolant. Now, first thing you want to do is take off the cap, kind of see where the radiator is at, and I always inspect the quality of the rubber on the cap. So let me go get a paper towel and wipe this off and inspect how the rubber is holding up. Just finished wiping down the radiator cap. Overall, it looks fine. There's no corrosion or deterioration of the rubber, so that's good. You always want to check this, especially if your TC has high miles. I've seen some TC owners never change this ever. Not a good thing. This one, still the original one, but this car is never driven. It just sits, so it hasn't gone through too much abuse. See here, the radiator color is, coolant color is red. It looks dirty enough. And the reservoir tank is pretty much dry. It's just at the very bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and get underneath the car and start draining everything. Now, I'm pretty sure this is gonna make a sizable mess, so I'll come back once I get this going. And one thing you always want to be careful with is not getting coolant all over yourself. This stuff is toxic and very bad for you, so try not to get any on you. Wear gloves and just try not to get any on you. It's happened to me before, not the end of the world, but you try to not get any on you in general. I turned the petcock open a decent amount. As you can see here, it's got a steady stream going. This is about halfway full now. I didn't want to make a huge mess, so I didn't open it up all the way, which I'm not in a rush for, and I can cut and edit this video however it needs to be. If you open it up all the way, it's going to go everywhere, but it is draining, so You're good there. Let me show you underneath where it's draining from. See right there? Give you a little bit of clarity there, so that way you're not putting the pan where it's not supposed to be. I'm gonna go ahead and let this drain. I'll check back in once we finish this part. Still slowly draining, but I did pull this out to take a look. So you can see here, the rubber gasket is good. It's not deteriorated or cracking, so we're golden there. So once it's done draining, I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in, turn it all the way tight and a little bit extra. Don't over torque this. This is plastic, you can snap it, so please be very, very careful, okay? And also, earlier I mentioned to do all this and start draining. Do not do it when the car is hot. You can injure yourself severely, so please wait till the car is cooled down, or if the car is cold to drain. All right, I'll be right back.
A lot of boring math later.
All right, I tightened up underneath so that plug is tight, not overly tight because it's plastic, but a good tight. So taking a look at the coolant that was in the car, it's actually in really good shape for how long it's been in there. But again, the car doesn't get driven much, but I wanted to change all this out so everything's fresh. In the previous video I did the transmission fluid. The oil I did not too long ago, but never did video on it, so that's still fine. And I've filled up one whole bottle of coolant so far, put the cap on, and if you hear, listen here, there's definitely air in here. So the thing, what you want to do is you actually want to turn on the car and turn on the heater and let it run so everything opens up and it starts circulating, and add coolant and keep adding coolant as needed. The capacity on the manual TC I believe is about 7.2 quarts. Over halfway there. I'm gonna keep adding more, but just manually adding it right now, it's pretty much full here, so it does need to circulate and pull some back into the system. And I also need to clear this out and top it off. To get this off is real easy. All you do is you pull this cap off, pull this back, take a 10, take this off, and go ahead and pour out the old stuff and rinse it out and pour in new fresh coolant.
One pair of pants later.
All right, got the car started. I topped it off a little too much, but here you can see slowly as the bubbles start to come, it's slowly working all the air bubbles out as the car gets up to temperature. It'll just take a few minutes for me to do this. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and keep going and get this done. So you might need to repeat this process a few times to get it to where you are good, and it stops doing that and your radiator will be full.
One winner later.
All right, I bled the coolant system a few times. It's really hot in here now, so we're good. The level is pretty up there. It did go down just a little bit more while the car's sitting here. You just do that by squeezing this while the car's running. Everything's hot, so I don't want to touch it anymore. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put the cap back on and get that finished out. The reservoir tank, I washed it out with the distilled water and filled it up, put it back together. It's just a 10mm bolt. You remove this again and you just pull this out real easy. But other than that, that's about it. All I really do after this, which I'm not going to do today, I'm going to do it later, is take the car for a spin, drive around for a little bit, come back and let the car cool. And then from there you just got to top off the reservoir. Whatever it's a little short on, it'll just pull into the radiator, so you're good there. But aside from that, that's pretty much how to just drain and refill your radiator on your Scion TC. Again, this car is just a little bit different than your car because of the wide body kit and it's removing some of the underpaneling, but the process is straightforward, and it's straightforward for most cars. So that pretty much concludes today's episode. Until next time, you guys take care. Thanks so much for watching.